We're here back on Spring Creek Pass way earlier than we anticipated. The last hour have been a whirlwind of interactions and odd happenings. First, we hemmed and hawed about how long it was going to take us to get out of Creede, but we threw our thumbs out, and literally 1.5 seconds later, an old guy named Terry picked us up and drove us all the way here. He had nothing better to do. He was going nowhere near where we were going, but that was nice. Well, after 1,000 miles of walking through seemingly innocuously named places that were very inhospitable, we get here to Snow Mesa, which apparently has no relation to snow whatsoever. 12,300 feet. First fucking place we've seen that has no snow. All jokes aside, I'm not really complaining here because this is some really easy hiking, especially compared to last week. So, not really grateful for it at all. We left Creede midday, and I think it's occurring to me that we might have a pretty lonely stretch here. I've been told by people who'd hiked the CDT before me that it gets to be a pretty lonely trail once you hit Colorado, because all the alternates really start thinning people out. Supposedly you only see people in town because there's so many options of routes to take, and we're leaving town at a weird time of day. We've got a long way, maybe like 100 miles to go to Salida, and I'm sure we'll see some people, but I think the days of 16 people, 18 people showing up and eating lunch together are probably over on this trail. We're gonna try to make the best of this though, because my impression is that the upcoming 100 miles or so will likely be the easiest hiking in Colorado. So we're gonna try to bank some miles, try to do high 20s or even into the 30s if we can. This is the first decent view of San Luis Peak, and it's pretty snow-free, so I'm not going to be able to use that as an excuse to not go up to the top. Otherwise, there would be a way around. Well, we made it here to camp, and we've really outdone ourselves this time. If you ever heard of girl math, there's a thing here called trail math, where our appetites dictate our ability to complete mathematical functions. And usually I fuck it up the opposite way, but I think we're going to probably get to Salida in about 3 days, and I've got about 6 days worth of food. So I don't know how this happened, but
it's a good problem to have.
We're in the windiest campsite we've ever fucking had to, right on this saddle. Hopefully it dies down a little bit later, but some hippies who are probably tripping on acid again down the hill stole the spot we wanted, so this is what we have. Clover doesn't want to go up San Luis Peak.
Didn't you just say I don't give a fuck?
I didn't see that on camera anywhere.
Oh my god.
I've been up there before, but if Clover and his mystery illness can't make it up, I guess we can't make it up. It's not on trail anyways, so it's that way over this hill. We'll make a decision in about 1 hour. We'll make a decision in an hour. The thing about Clover is you never let him off easy. The secret is I probably feel worse than he does this morning. He's ahead of me. I don't want to go up that mountain. I haven't had good rest in a week or two. I need to get back down to lower elevation because I haven't been recovering, but we don't let him know that. We made it here across these ridges, and we're at the junction to San Luis Peak, but I don't think either one of us have it in us today, especially because the alternative is 14.8 miles straight downhill, which sounds a lot fucking better. One of the sad things to notice about this area and all these other valleys in this part of Colorado is that a lot of the pines are dead, especially the larger ones. The larger ones are more likely to die apparently because they insulate better through the winter, so the beetles can survive through the cold more effectively. So the smaller pines actually are more resilient, which might not be a good thing, especially for forestry people, because smaller doesn't necessarily mean younger. It could just be a genetically smaller tree, so this is like a selection bias. But as a silver lining, I've also read online, again, I don't know how true this is, that the pine forest dying off is actually creating more space for aspen, which used to occupy a larger proportion of the ecosystem here. I don't know whether that's true or how long it would take, but you know, it could be 50 years and maybe things will bounce back out, hopefully. From a hiker's perspective, it just sucks because it makes it hard to camp around here because you're always worried about getting killed by a tree falling over in the middle of the night, which has happened to people on these long trails before, so it's not like a unwarranted fear. Here's an actual physical embodiment of what I was just talking about. These are all really young aspen saplings, probably part of the same clonal colony, interspersed in a dead pine forest. This is supposed to be the best privy on the CDT, or at least I've heard people say that. Clover was very excited about it. So excited that he waited, I don't know, 15 miles today. There she is, the belle of the ball. Morale has definitely improved. Both of us were thinking we were all fucked up or something the last few days. But I think no, it was definitely just the altitude, because now we're down here at like 10,000. We feel good. We're talking about doing, well, we'll do 33 miles today or something. We'll see. But goddamn, this is so much better. Clover's over here talking about doing the Florida Trail.
Yeah, because it's so flat.
Yeah.
Low elevation.
Well, we'll try to finish this one first. See, make sure that works out. I remember when I was on my Colorado Trail through hike in Leadville, I ran into some CDT hikers, and there was kind of an air of elitism about them. And I wasn't judging or anything, and I'm also not trying to be an elitist right now, but based on personal experience, the two trails in comparative difficulty are just not even in the same realm. I remember when I was on my Colorado Trail through hike in Leadville, I ran into some CDT hikers, and there was kind of an air of elitism about them. And I wasn't judging or anything, and I'm also not trying to be an elitist right now, but based on personal experience, the two trails in comparative difficulty are just not even in the same realm. The CDT has been the hardest thing I've ever done thus far, and I've done 3 other trails. This is just something different, isn't it? Yeah. Clover and I just had a little brief discussion about it, and people always say that the AT is harder than the CDT in some ways. I don't know what the fuck those people are talking about. There's nothing about the AT that's harder than this. I know it goes up and down a lot, but not at this elevation, not without a trail, not with snow constantly fucking with you, or the weather conditions being so unpredictable. At least, I mean, it's wet, but not like this. This is just a different animal. There's also like constant 130-mile food carries and just mind-numbing lack of access to any amenities. All of that adds up, and it makes it way more difficult.
Nice change of pace. Walking down this creek here, which is funny because that expression is usually used when the pace gets slower, but we are flying right now.
Yeah, I think it's quite legitimately a possibility that we're going to push over 30 today, which would be great.
Easily.
Beavers now caught up. He is in one of his lonely periods still. I think one of them is a male though, so I don't know what he's going to do with that. Also, the last time I was here, this was just a river. The beavers have been doing some work. The trail itself is underwater, and everywhere there's a dam, there's a little road going uphill from it too. They've done so much, they've cut so many of these aspens down that they've made their own little road. Beavers are just like that one kid in school that just needed to have everything like perfectly lined up and everything. They like are just obsessed with like no running water under no circumstances. As Clover comes up the hill, I'm gonna zoom in on a couple of Colorado Trail hikers that we saw swimming just downstream of that giant beaver dam, which is how to get Giardia 101, if you didn't know. This is the effective phone service, people. Your compadres cease to be able to walk. If he didn't look up every 3 seconds, he'd probably walk into an aspen tree or something. He says he's working, speculating on financial markets in the woods, as if he's the most keyed in individual in the market itself.
Pardon me?
It's like we're back in New Mexico. I remember this being pretty exposed for the next 15 or 20 miles, drier, kind of like a frying pan. I'll take it over the elevation now. Somebody's lying, I guess, because this is supposed to be like 2 miles back that way, but who knows? Probably not even on the CDT at all. It's fake. It's probably not even real. Well, we ended up going about 30.5 miles actually. This is actually a really nice campsite. A living tree that has a very low threat level of falling over and killing us in the night. It's real flat, and frankly, a pretty good view too. Got this whole prairie surrounding us.